I'm like moving my chairs and stuff, getting ready for this morning. I'm ready to roll. Hey, it's 7 a.m. Coffee with Shanda, and I want to talk to you about something that lit a fire under my butt. My friend Lori sent me a article on Milton Hershey, who is Hershey, like the chocolate Hershey. And he created a school for children that not only inspired me, but it had me look at my own life and realize, wow, life is now. Like there's only so much time left on this planet. And I just really started to, I don't know, get this whole new appreciation for the amount of time we have left. And here's why. The school he created is basically a school. It's a leadership school where kids come and they live on campus, I guess you could say, or it feels like a house. The whole intention is that they feel like they have a family. And they develop these kids these underprivileged kids so that they can go off to college and basically create an incredible life and be a contribution to society. And that was awesome. I was reading it, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a really lofty goal of donating a lot of money to orphans and adoption and I don't know why. It's just like one of those things that God just put on my heart. And so that's the challenge that I'm up to this year, is to donate 7 figures to just that cause in the California area. So my friend sent me this article. I'm reading the article. This is amazing. And then I start reading through the quotes of Milton Hershey. And there's a quote about, well, first of all, it's like, Success Magazine, the Telegraph, they're 1924, 1925, 1923. And then there's this quote about, I can't remember exactly the words, but it was like, this young generation is the generation that's going to change the world. And I thought, wow, in 1923, they were saying that. And like nowadays, we're saying that, right? Like nowadays, whenever we talk about, the kids that are coming up, we talk about how they're our future. And I don't know why, but it made me realize that, like, in a weird sort of way, that this time isn't like that special unless we make it. Like I realized, like, we all tend to have this, like, it's like we make what's ever happening in our world like the most important thing that's ever happening on the earth at this time. And I get that it's all pretty exciting. I mean, like now we've got robots coming in. We had clients that literally at the Hilton Hotel ordered toothbrushes, and a robot came up and gave them the toothbrushes. Like, this is really happening. And we're going to be living in the TV show The Jetsons soon. And I think, although that it's a little scary, it's also a little cool that we're able to experience all of that. But when I was reading Milton Hershey's work, I was like, God, I could do that. What am I doing right now? Like what, and it's not like I'm not up to a big game, but I want to come on and inspire all of us to say, like, what are you doing right now in your life? Like what is today packed with? Like, are you doing something that's moving your future and somebody else's future forward? Or are you just focused on you? And I think there's times that you're just focused on you, but it's like, I don't know. I just think it's time that we really realize that, it's like one of my girlfriends, she just had her birthday and she's looking down at her hands and she's like, wow, like my hands are starting to look like my grandmother's. And I don't see what she sees, but she sees what she sees. And it's like, it's like we're progressing. And as we're progressing, I think it's really easy to feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel the same that I felt. I actually feel better than I felt at 25. So it's almost can be deceiving with how healthy we can get now, and, how, connected we are to Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and how disconnected we often are from people that, are in our real lives. Like you can go to a movie and people are on their phone, or you go to like a restaurant and 2 people are sitting across from each other. They're doing this, whether they're friends or lovers. And, my point is not to shame anybody or to even make anybody feel bad about this. And I totally don't want you getting off this live and, going back into your life and giving somebody heck because they're embraced in their social media following. That's not my point. My point is to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, forget about like coaching everybody else, or, even criticizing or even trying to raise anybody else for a second. Like, just think about, what are you doing? Like, when you drive down the street and you see somebody with a homeless sign, do you stop and help them? Or you're like, my purse or my wallet's in the back of the car? Or, when you're working, do you have anything? Like, even if you have nothing, do you have anything in your life that's contributing to something that you really care about? So this sounds really funny, but I actually don't have anything that I can think of on why I should help adopted children. Like, I'm not adopted. I don't have a bunch of friends who are adopted. I don't have a personal experience of anybody really being adopted, but there's some sort of a calling that I need to go and help, and it's like, I don't know, but I think that's a blessing. I mean, just my interpretation, I think it's a blessing when there's something in our life that we feel compelled to go and make a difference for. And sometimes you're in a position where you do have to put the mask over your life before you have what it takes to help other people. And I think that's part of the reason why I work so hard and I'm so diligent about helping people make sure that money is never a reason they don't take action. I mean, I'm a business coach, if you've never met me before. And like, I'm just not the business coach that sits back and doesn't give my clients feedback if there's something that's preventing them from getting to where they want to be. I mean, I'm truly honest with them, whether they like me or they don't. I realize that this hat that I wear, this hardcore business hat, is really the role of a coach, not the role of a friend, unless it is the role of a friend to a friend, and then it's not the role of a coach, right? And so I just share this with you because it's like, I don't know, like the biggest thing that kind of unleashed me from getting going in my life was hooking into something bigger. I walked around and I did this. I was like, okay, I need to hook into something bigger in my life because I lost the urgency. And at that point in my life, I went to Africa and I worked with these women in Africa. And I came back from Africa and a new fire was lit underneath me. And that's when I went off and created, $1 million company and, got serious about falling in love and having a baby and really getting that life is now. These women that are taking care of other people's babies. I think in America and Canada too, it's very rare that if you knew that somebody else's baby needed to be taken care of, that you're going to make time in your home for that. And that's a little bit maybe on why the adoption piece is coming in for me, where I'm wanting to contribute and give to that world. I don't have a desire to adopt. I don't have any of that, but it's just a trip on if you could just trust the pull, right? The pull in your life towards something. If you can just trust it and not overanalyze it, not stop it because you're trying to get it right, or you're trying to get it right this time because you have to get it right this time, or you get what I'm saying? Like, if you could just really just allow your life to unleash into something that is a bigger calling, I promise you that the other things start to line up. You see, I found that contribution, and I know we know this, but like, I still hear people, like when I'm in church, like I still watch the bucket pass and people don't contribute. And I sit there and I'm like, I'm not judging. Like, I promise you I'm not. I'm actually going, gosh, there is opportunity in front of us all the time to contribute, but yet we don't. And not only do we not, we don't even prepare ourselves for it. We don't. But yet I know if you're watching Coffee with Shanda, you are heart-centered, you are loving, you give to people. I get that you're that person. But what if we amped it up a little bit? Like, what if we amped it up a little bit today and you weren't too quick to run by somebody who maybe was like really needing you to talk to them, or you weren't too impatient when someone was trying to talk to you about something. You're like, come on, or your husband or your wife, you're like, get to the point already, and you're trying to push them forward because they always take forever, right? What if you could just stop and you could access these different levels of contribution or generosity so that the human beings around us actually get amped up and they go out and give more? I'm really committed to waking up people who are already driven. I love A-type personality people, because when you open up to contribution on this level, not only do you find the next level path and the next level path, like, it's not like I got on this path of my life and stayed on it the entire time. I fell off many times where I was going, how do I hook into something bigger? How do I hook into something bigger? And eventually you stop making goals like, I want to make 100,000 a month, or I want to make 20,000 a month, or I want to make, eventually you stop having these goals that are actually about what you want. And you start to gain the real blessing that creates the supernatural growth in your life, which is when you start to feel pulled forward to contribute, and you get that you matter in every moment. Like you get that, like, worthiness is a real epidemic in this world, like this lack of worthiness. It's a huge epidemic. And I feel that if you can really look at, maybe you can't give money today, but maybe you could give like time, maybe you could give more patience. These are all levels of contribution and generosity. And if you can be that type of person, what will happen is things start to open up. But I don't believe that we really believe it, because if we did, then we would access this way of being so much quicker. So I'm going to kind of sum this all up. You know, as I'm reading Milton Hershey, and I'm reading, you know, I didn't even know Success Magazine was around at that time in 1923. I didn't know, maybe it was a different Success Magazine, I don't know. But when I read The Telegraph, I was like, oh, that really kind of feels like the olden days. You know what I mean? Like, Milton's not around anymore. You know, like, it's like, oh, you know, I'm not going to be around anymore at some point. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm moving my mom down to America now, and she's going to, you know, she's going to live out the rest of her life here. And then, you know, she's going to pass naturally. And then it's my turn. And then it's like, and I could get tears in my eyes because I'm like, I want more time with my kid, you know, and it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing with our life? And how much bigger can we play? And that's the question I'm asking myself. And every time I've felt off purpose, every time I felt like I need to go after a goal that's mine, I actually get that I'm a little off track. I'm a little off track. We're a little off track when the goal and the declaration starts with me and ends with me. So I'm just going to empower you. I'm going to challenge you to allow the goal about you to come forth, and then start to think, who does that affect? And not only who does that affect, who requires me to hit this goal in my life? You know, right now I have a goal of bringing on 1,000 human beings into our PACE program, because I want to make sure that there are enough leaders that are empowered financially and know how to make money. I see some of you guys on the threads, like some of you guys are my clients. You could right now just share some of the things that, as you've gone through PACE Private, that it's freed you from, like retiring your husbands, quitting a job that you didn't want to do anymore, you know, being able to pay for your kids' tuition, healthcare, like take care of your parents. Like, go ahead and share some of the things that it's helped you on in the comment section. The reason why I share this with you is because that's what I'm committed to. I'm not committed to more money. I'm not committed to a bigger house. I'm not committed to a better car. And I remember when it started that way, and I had to, because what happens is you don't do what it takes to get there. And what happens is every month you have another me goal. Let's get out of the me goals and go, what's the purpose of the me goal? If the me goal, not me girl, but me goal happens, who's it affecting? Like, why are you being pulled to create that result? And you've got to see all the way through to the contribution. And then you need to become obsessed with the contribution, where you start to get obsessed with, well, what are the other things that happen if I hit this for other people, not for you? And then when people are around you, practice contribution in every single moment. Like, practice it. If you guys are in my PACE program, share. And this isn't about my PACE program. It's about, I want people to see the difference between focusing a little bit further than your initial goal on who really is affected when you actually create the goal that you're feeling the call to create. You know, the one that you can see that's all about you. What happens when that happens? Like, what happens when you hit that goal, whatever that is with you? I'm going to tell you, that's the place you got to focus on. And you got to expand that part. If you keep expanding it, what happens is you can't be overwhelmed and exhausted. You can't, because that is a me-focused experience. What happens is you become outward focused, and your worthiness goes way up, and you step into I would say a supernatural growth, because get ready, because the growth that you will have will scare the shit out of you. But if you stay focused over there on why it has to happen for the people, for the dogs, for the whoever, the planet, whatever it is that the biggest contribution with you hitting your goal, right? So think about what's the next goal that you want to hit, the me goal, the one that is all about you. And what is that? And then go past that and go, well, wow, like let me just think about that. If I hit that goal, what would that mean? Not for me, but what would that mean? Like, what would that really mean to the scope of the world? Like, what would it really mean? You know? And it's like, and then get obsessed with unpacking that conversation and see what happens. Because I promise you, you will then start to have a supernatural growth that I know you want. But there's a part when you're focusing on the goal and what the contribution is for you. What happens is you get lazy, you get overwhelmed, you get frustrated, you get impatient. You like all of those feelings, overwhelmed, impatience, frustration, they're all in the context of I, which is you got to have a really strong willpower to beat that game and win and break through to the blessing of contribution. So I'm going to say, instead of using willpower, because it's so inconsistent. I mean, you get a bad night's sleep, you're like, I'm going to blow off the rest of the day, or you're going to be grumpy to someone you love. And so don't focus on you other than past what is the call, the pull that you have to create a certain result next. And then get obsessed with like spend an entire day walking around with a pad of paper and going, well, if I hit that, if I reach that, who's going to be affected? And start writing that down. And then if that group of people or that situation is affected, then what else is going to get affected? And I guarantee you haven't seen your biggest calling yet. I haven't. Unless you have found that money is easy to make, friends are easy to make, projects are easy to push through. Like there's a certain like supernatural growth. If you haven't found that yet, then you haven't found the biggest reason why you're doing what you're doing yet. And so I say, focus over there, because you'll see the blessing really quickly, and the blessing will feed into your life and it will fuel you. And so I don't remember the last time I felt overwhelmed. I don't. And I've never had a bigger company. I've never had a bigger life. Right now I have 3 friends staying with me as they're going through our leadership program. I have a little boy who I'm going to run to school here shortly. Then I'm going to go work out, and then I'm going to come back and have a back-to-back day right after working out. There's no shower. There's back-to-back all day until I go pick my son up after school and then take him to his extracurricular activities. And then I'll come home, and then I'll do his homework, and then I'll play with him. We'll go for a walk around the neighborhood, because that's the thing we do. And then I'll be, having dinner with him. No, I do not make dinner. Our house manager and nanny makes dinner. I will have that with our son. And then really it's time for bath time, read a book, go to bed. You parents already know this, right? But when I couple that with the size of the company, it's amazing to me that I'm not overwhelmed. And I know that this has been my secret. It's been, people have heard me say generosity a million times, but maybe this is a hack that shows you how to go into it right now so you can have that supernatural growth that you want, because the pull will be so strong that you'll be in complete alignment with what it is that you're doing. All right, you guys, I'm going to end Coffee with Shanda right now. And I will see you if you're new to Coffee with Shanda. I am actually drinking dandelion tea right now. This is one of our cups. Focus on the step you're in. This is also a way that I manage my mind so that I'm not thinking about the future ever and thinking about the exact moment that I'm in as I'm working the pull forward. But come have coffee with me. Any Monday through Friday, the first 3 weeks out of the month, I do it. The last week of the month, I dedicate towards my family and friends to take off a flex week. All right, that's it. Please share this if it's important to you. You think people need to hear this Coffee with Shanda. Please share it with people that you love, people that you think will do something valuable with it. Tag somebody that is an entrepreneur or a corporate leader, and let's just make a difference in the world together. All right, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Bring your coffee or your greens juice. Bye.